Welcome to this demonstration of LaserBee's capabilities. At its simplest, you enter your laser details into the laser pane and press Report. LaserBee then performs all the usual laser safety calculations, taking sensible default values. The report can be saved or copied into a word processing program. I prefer to save it and then do what I want to do with it later. And that's basically it. You've got your normal sort of things, AELs, MPEs and so on. But what if you don't like the default values? This report uses 100 seconds for the exposure time for the eye MPE. But it's a visible laser and we could use 0.25 seconds since the blink reflex could operate. To change this to 0.25 seconds, we can go to the MPE tab and enter 0.25 here and get an MPE. Now we can use this tab independently. We can do as many calculations as we like here, but when you press Report, what is given in the report is always the result of the last calculation in the MPE tab. And you see here we've got the 250 seconds data in the report. Going back to the MPE tab, you see we have an explanation of how the calculation was performed, making reference to the standard documentation. You can print a tab summary if you like, which will contain this information, and again you can save it or copy it into a word processing program. All of the main tabs operate in this manner. You have a summary making reference to the standard documentation. Looking now at the alternative data entry options, first see that you can keep a database of lasers and easily then pick up one of the standard lasers that you have around with all its values defined. Here we picked multimode laser, and you see this has changed the beam delivery type to multimode fiber. In this case the input data has changed as well, because we now enter a numeric aperture and the divergence is calculated. If we change it to single mode fiber, then now we enter a mode field diameter and the D63 diameter and the divergence are calculated. Now, you might want to have a pulse laser. In this case we have to change the power profile. I'll just select a predefined one here. We see now that for a pulse laser we have to enter the pulse energy, pulse duration and the pulse rate as normal, as you might expect. Of course, now we have a pulsed laser, the MPE calculation gets a little more difficult, but LaserBee is up to this. You'll see that it does the standard calculations of the three different types that you have to do and compare the results of these three calculations and choose the more restrictive one. That's the end of our quick overview of the basic features of LaserBee. There's lots more to see though, because there's a long series of tools coming up. You can see here that we have a visual representation of where the different hazards are. You have Gaussian beam calculations, calculations of power through apertures and so on, geometry into conversions, setting the preferences, the way you want the system to work, constructing your laser database, some useful interconversions, flight zone calculations for glare and distraction and so on, and finally an extremely comprehensive diffuse reflection tab. Keep a lookout for our videos on these things as they come along.